Beats.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Live. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick Hennessy, by myself for today's postgame. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone enjoyed the game today. It was kind of a heartbreaker. Wasn't that fun of a game to watch. Tough loss, brutal loss. That's fine, though. I think kind of the biggest takeaway that I got was the Yankees still can't close out a series. And that's kind of the most brutal part. This is what? Some consecutive number of series where I feel like they won the first two games and then just can't end the sweep. Brutal stuff. But listen, shout out to everybody currently in the chat. Let's take a 10/roll call. You guys know the deal. We got PX, Matt, Stevie, Joseph, Lori, Gabby, Ricky, Austin Lugo. Who else we got? We got JT, Jesus Chavez, Justin. Hope everyone enjoyed the game despite the fact that it was brutal. Let's start things off today by going through the box scores / pitching box score as well, as you guys know. So the Yankees offense came alive today. I mean, genuinely, like it wasn't bad, like at all. DJ 1 for 3, got that RBI in the 9th, 2 walks, not too bad for him. Luke Voit 2 hits of his own, 2 for 5. But Aaron Judge continues to rake. It's unreal. 2 for 3 with a solo shot again and a walk. Love to see that out of Judge. I don't want to say that I kind of picked him to hit a home run today, as well as Gary, but I kind of did pick him. Just saying. But look at Bright's comment. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Live. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick. There we go. But yeah, Gio 0 for 4. That's fine. Gio deserves kind of a break, I guess. Whatever. And we're not going to give him any crap for that. But Gary 1 for 4 today with that 2-run shot I believe it was in the first. Shout out to Gary. I don't want to say I predicted that either, but I predicted it. Clint 2 for 4 with a home run of his own. Him and Gary went back to back in the first. We kind of had such high hopes after the Yankees hit in the first inning, up 4-0 with Monty on the mound. Like, what could go wrong? Little did we know. But Andujar 1 for 4. Ryan Lamar in his Yankee debut went 0 for 3 and then was replaced by Brett Gardner, who didn't get a hit himself today. So he lowered his average to 171. Clint is slowly creeping up, and Gardner's slowly creeping down to the point where Clint might have a higher average than Gardner in like a week or so. I don't know. I'm not going to seize. I beat it. Let's go. W's in the chat. But Tyler Wade 1 for 3 today. It wasn't another 3-hit performance from him, so I guess he's not God anymore. I don't know. But Mike Ford came in to pinch hit. Of course, didn't get a hit. .091 on the season for him now. Absolutely brutal. So, kind of going based off this, the Yankees offense wasn't too shabby today. However, you look at their pitching, and their pitching just did not give them anything to work with. Jordan Montgomery in particular, 3 innings pitched. The dude gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. This is, in fact, not the start that me and Brian predicted out of Montgomery in the pregame. I thought he was going to go like 7 Only give up 1 run. Brutal. This is not what I was expecting whatsoever. So, and then King came in, 2 innings, gave up an earned run. Somehow he got the loss, which sucks, which is why oh God, I hate the win-loss stat. It's so stupid. But Litke came in, clean inning of work. Was the only guy today, only Yankees pitcher to have a clean inning of work, so shout out to him. But Wandy Peralta came in, pitched an inning, 2-run shot, Maikel Franco. And then Luis Cessa gave up 2 more runs in the 9th inning, I believe. Overall, just a very, very tough game. So as you guys know, I am by myself today. So usually how we do, I answer a ton of questions, a ton of comments. So if anybody has that, just let me know. But I kind of want to make this point. Don't be too concerned after this game, right? I know it's kind of like the same thing as the Rays game, final game of the Rays series, where the Yankees kind of got blown out and everyone's like, oh, no. Like, it's okay. We still took 2 out of 3 out of Baltimore. Obviously, you'd like to sweep Baltimore, especially how good you started out with. Starting off with like a 4-0 lead, you would expect to win a game like this. So, try not to get too discouraged, because now the Yankees do have 4 in Texas. I think if you're able to take 3 out of 4 in Texas, that kind of once again completes my ideal situation, taking 5 out of these next 7. Obviously, you would like to take 3 out of Baltimore and then only have to split it with Texas. But now you kind of have to take 3 out of 4 from Texas, which I don't think is too absurd to think about. Texas is not that good of a team. But let me take a look at some of these comments. Serdar says, it would have been nice to have a come from behind win against a bad team. But my thing is, like, it shouldn't have been a come from behind win. Like, based on the first inning, this game should have been an absolute blowout. The Yankees scored 4 runs in the first. Like, when you're winning 4-0 going into the bottom of the first with Montgomery on the mound, you would expect that the Yankees would win easily. Hope that we sweep the Rangers. It's possible. I'm hoping for 3 out of 4. That's kind of what my realistic expectation is. But also, like PX said, Cole is on the mound tomorrow. So I'm expecting maybe like a 20K game from Cole. You know Cole's going to want to walk into Texas. Never pitched there before. He's going to want to just completely dominate. Hello, everybody. What is the state of the Yankees in 2021? They have pinch hit Mike Fort. Brutal. Yo, but shout out to Jesus Chavez with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, my man. Let's go Yankees. Still not a Frazier fan. Should have called up Florial. The Lamar, we need another legit outfielder ASAP. Ryan Lamar is definitely not the Yankees' solution in center field, but unfortunately, I think he's going to be the guy until they figure out whether or not Florial is ready. I think they still want to see a little bit more from Florial in Single A. I mean, in Triple A, definitely not Single A. Before they do give him that call-up, which is understandable, only because he's only really played at Double A before. When he was called up to the bigs last year, he wasn't too good. So I guess I could see why they would want to see a little bit more performance out of him in Triple A before they call him up. But Bright says, I only figured out that Jay Lonzo isn't his name only because I found Pat's website. Yeah, unhingednewyork.com. There you go. Daily articles. If anybody likes to read articles, go check those out. Martin says, off-topic question, which baseball player you think gets the hottest girls? I would think Judge. That's so off-topic, but I love Judge, so let's go Judge. Daniel says, Texas sucks, LOL. Gallo is their only competent hitter, and he strikes out 40% of the time. True. However, just because a team is bad doesn't mean that the Yankees are going to pound on them. Look at what happened with this Baltimore series. For the most part, the Yankees kind of beat them. But today, for example, if the Yankees don't have good pitching, the worst offense could just kill them. So I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. Ruben says, I'm only okay with today's loss because we won the series. Now we need to learn to come back from behind late in the game. True. But also I think what the Yankees need to learn is after you have like a scoring barrage in the early innings, like build on that rather than just settling for like the 5 runs that you scored in the first 3 innings. But yeah, I think that's kind of the Yankees' main issue this year. However, kind of going into the series, I wasn't expecting to win the final game anyway because Means was supposed to be on the mound. But once we found out Means wasn't going to be on the mound, it's kind of game-changing, right? You would expect the Yankees to be able to actually win this game now because you don't have to face one of the best pitchers in the American League this season. But they didn't. What are you going to do? No need to get aggravated. Austin says, Pat, we should call up Dietrich for the Texas series. He will hit bombs. Bro, you're preaching to the choir. That's literally what you're doing here. We all know I would love Derek Dietrich in the Bronx, but I just don't really see a scenario where that happens right now. And it sucks to say because obviously I want him here, but it's brutal because if the Yankees wanted to call him up, he definitely would have been up already, right? They wouldn't have traded for Odor. They wouldn't have called up Wade. They wouldn't have called up Ford. They wouldn't have called up Lamar. It sucks. Whatever. Ruben says too many of Judge's homers or solo shots. My thing, though, is like, that's not really his fault, right? If the people behind him, well, in front of him, don't get on base, what is he supposed to do about that? So Judge gets the job done whenever he can, but he's got to be climbing up the home run leaderboards, no? Because he has, 12 now on the season? Let me check real quick. Okay, yeah, so he's kind of tied for first on the home run leaderboards, which is kind of cool, I guess. Because especially considering that brutal week he had last week. Serdar says, we'll find out more about the Yanks when they play White Sox, Boston, Toronto, and Rays next week. That's a good point. I'm really interested to see how the Yankees perform against those teams, only because we've seen them kind of pound on these bad teams lately, right? But also they've played well against good teams like the Astros and the Rays. They both won those series. So I think the White Sox, Boston, Toronto, those are going to be huge series for sure. PX says, I think we're going to sweep Boston. Personally, I think we're probably going to do the same thing. I guess we'll see. Pat, under over 40 bombs for Judge. I think as long as he stays healthy, I'm smashing that over. I think he easily hits over 40 bombs if he stays healthy. But that's always the key for Judge. As long as he's healthy, he's going to put up numbers like that. He's going to be in the MVP conversation every single year. Just stay healthy, bro. Definitely not his fault. I agree. His teammates need to get on base more for this man. True. Let's just say, every single time Judge came up, he had 2 guys on base. Bro, it's a 3-run shot every single time. But it's impossible for him to do that when no one's on base, right? Hey, Pat, do you collect baseball memorabilia? I have a few autographs and stuff, but I wouldn't say I necessarily, collect memorabilia. I just have a few items, I guess. Ohtani has 12 home runs, too. Speaking of Shohei Ohtani, bro, the dude's having a ridiculous season. A monster season. At least as far as I'm concerned. But, I'm kind of looking at, the MLB leaderboards right now, and just as far as, stats go. JD Martinez is leading the league with 33 RBIs. Ridiculous season from him. I think a lot that has to do with his resurgence, especially from last year, is now they're able to use the iPads in the dugout again. So I think that kind of changes it. I don't know. Bright says, since we've been seeing a lot of hashtag solo Hennessy lately, who will be joining Pat in the next episode of Unhinged Talk? If you're talking about Unhinged Talk or Unhinged Live, Unhinged Live tomorrow, I believe Brian is going to be on again. Yeah. Albert Pujols signed with the Dodgers. Yes, I'm aware. We talked about this yesterday. It means nothing. It really means nothing. Is it bad that I would rather have Ohtani over Stanton? A dynamic arm and a dynamic offensively. My only thing, though, is, yes, we would have liked Ohtani. However, we can't expect that he was going to be the same with the Yankees, right? I feel like if he was with the Yankees, he'd be such an injury-prone guy, 10 times more injury-prone than he is now. I feel like we'd never see him on the field. So you kind of take what you could get. Because at the same time, so is Stanton. Speaking of Stanton's injury, I think he's going to be back for the Texas series. I'd assume he'd probably play 3 to 4 of those games. If anything, he definitely plays tomorrow. I hope he plays tomorrow. And then I guess we'll see from there. Daniel says Miggy better than Ohtani 2018. Fair. I think in 2018, it was kind of another one of those cases of Yankee bias, where if Ohtani was on the Yankees and Andujar was on the Angels, Andujar probably would have won. But it just seems like writers don't like voting for the Yankees for awards. It's weird. It's this weird kind of bias thing that they have going on. Not a fan of it whatsoever. But listen, shout out to Ruben Cruz with the $5 dono. Appreciate you, my man. Look at Brian in the top right. Pew, pew, pew. Boston's offense is ridiculous. They got 3 hitters hitting over 320 with tons of doubles and homers. They have a really good lineup. Like, I don't think anyone discredited that ever in the offseason, especially. I think what the key is with Boston is they don't have a rotation or a bullpen that's going to keep up whatsoever. So I think it's only a matter of time before they crash and burn. Like, I know I can't be the only one that thinks this. The Boston Red Sox are not a team that's built to make the postseason this year. And even, let's say they do make a wild card spot, they're not going deep in the playoffs. They just don't have the pitching to do so. But listen, I hate to say it, shout out to Alex Cora. He definitely sets like a very winning tone in that clubhouse. They clearly get the job done with him. I don't know. Lori says we have 3 hitting 120. That's true. That is very true. I've said it so many times. Like, Clint Frazier, Brett Gardner is like a battle between like who wants to be worse. However, I think Gardner's kind of winning that battle. If we look at like the most recent splits, I'm pretty sure Clint's doing a lot better as of late. When is Rob Brantley and Chirinos getting called up? They won't, unless there's an injury. Unless there's an injury, we won't see either of those 2 guys. So let's hope we don't. Because right now, I would say Gary's kind of making his case to once again be the full-time catcher. And then you have Higgy as your backup, who's probably going to be like Cole's personal catcher and probably Kluber as well. Justin says Ohtani is good for baseball economy. That's why he won. Because the Japanese market, it would be as good for baseball if a guy named Andujar won over Ohtani. But obviously, they were probably right. Well, I mean, here's my thing. The reason Matsui didn't win Rookie of the Year with the Yankees when he first came over is because they said he was kind of an already experienced player in Japan. They didn't use that same reasoning for Ohtani, which is weird. Once again, says that, like, anti-Yankee bias, which is, I don't care. It's just a Rookie of the Year award, like, whatever. Ruben says they might make it, but not enough pitching for the postseason. True. That's why I think they are fakers. We're going to sweep them. We will sweep them. Boston's pitching will catch up with them, and they will plunge in the standings. It's only a matter of time. Like, anyone that's stressing about the Red Sox winning or losing at this point, don't worry. Like, the better teams always find a way to overcome the worst teams. It's as simple as that. They got off to a hot start this season. They're going to plummet eventually. Whoever advocated to bring Gardy back should be fired. Blame Brian. Blame Brian DeGennaro. He's the one who said he's going to be waving the bandanas and the flags. Johnny says, but I think Clint has been brutal defensively. On top of his offense this year being what it is, I would say Clint, by a small margin this year, is worse. Is that an actual, like, statistically proven statement? Because I feel like Clint Frazier has been solid on defense this year. I would say much more solid than Brett Gardner. I feel like there's balls that Clint makes plays on that Brett would never even be able to get to. If we're talking about arm strength, Clint probably has triple the arm that Gardner does. And that's not really saying much because Gardner has a terrible arm. But you guys know what I mean. I defensively, I'd probably take Clint over Gardner any day of the week. Chat, let me know if I'm wrong. Sale is coming back too, sure. But it's like, I don't know what the Red Sox are really expecting from Sale when he comes back. I believe the last time we saw him was 2019, and he wasn't even good. So I doubt they have high expectations for him. Didn't Ichiro win Rookie of the Year in 2001 for the Seattle Mariners? I believe so. Let's see. Jays lineup is legit. The Jays have a really good lineup. I would say in the American League East, the Jays probably have the second best lineup, right behind the Yankees. Boston would probably be 3. Tampa 4. Yeah, Tampa does not have a good lineup at all. Derek brought it up in one of his videos to where StatCast says essentially that Clint is one of the worst left fielders this year defensively. I don't know if I believe that. To be honest, I don't really care what StatCast says. Just using the eye test, Clint Frazier is not one of the worst defensive left fielders. There's just no way. Sorry. If anyone disagrees with me, apologize. Sorry, not sorry. Ichiro won MVP that year. There you go. The Mets got swept. Bro, imagine getting swept by the Rays. That's a new low. Would the Yankees DFA Gardner if he keeps playing poorly? What do you think, Pat? Definitely not. They would never give him the A-Rod treatment. Let's not forget, in 2016, Alex Rodriguez was so bad. 4 home runs away from 700, where the Yankees essentially forced him into retirement, Jay Bruce style. They're never going to do the same for Brett Gardner. It's a little bit weird, but I don't know. They love the dude. They gave Lindor all that money, and he's a bum. Listen, I think the Mets gave Lindor that contract a little bit too early, but I don't know. To each his own, I guess. How can Gardner be better defensively when he can't throw the ball 30 feet? That's also true. That's also really true. I think Brett Gardner probably has one of the worst arms in the league, like by far, without even an argument. No one could put an argument that Brett Gardner has a good arm. I'm sorry. Andujar would have won Rookie of the Year if he was at least average on defense. Probably so. I mean, Andujar was just so bad defensively in 2018. He became like a liability for the Yankees in the playoffs. I know a lot of you probably remember Adeiny Echeverria used to have to come in for defense purposes later in the game in the playoffs because the Yankees just didn't trust Andujar at third late in the game. So, yeah, I think if he would have had solid defense in 2018, he might have won it. The Mets would look awful if they trade all of that for Lindor and let him walk in free agency. It is definitely an optics thing. Sure, that makes sense. But then again, you could always, sign him to an extension after the season because you would have, first dibs to do so. So, I don't know. Gardner has one of the worst arms in the league his entire career. Exactly. But on the Yes Network broadcast, they'll tell you different. They'll be like, well, Brett Gardner doesn't have that bad of an arm. It's pretty average across the league. No, it's trash. It's a noodle arm. Brian could throw better. Shout out to Brian. Yankees are fortunate to get 2 from 3 from the Orioles. Friday night was a gift. You make a point. The Yankees didn't really play that well this series. Last night was the only game where they truly demolished them, I guess. Friday night was kind of a gift. That Gio home run. Without that Gio home run, the Yankees easily lose that game because no one else is coming up in that clutch situation. But, yeah, they should have won today, though. That sucks. That's actually annoying. Whatever. When is Odor coming back, says Benji? I believe Boone said Odor should be back for the Texas series, which is huge. Yes gives Guardy a yellow arm. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand. I get they're just trying to be nice to the dude, but there's no way on that red light, yellow light, green light, they give him a yellow light. I don't know. Oh, JK? They probably do. I don't know. Let's see. Gardner is accurate with his throws. Is that a troll? It's probably a troll. Martin says, yo, Nats play bad so we could get Scherzer. I don't know if the Nats have been winning lately, but I think as Yankee fans, we all need to be praying that they do poorly. Only because, it looks like they're 15-20, 5 games under 500. We need them to stay as below 500 as possible, just because I'm assuming, let's say they are 5 games below 500 come the trade deadline, they're trading Scherzer. 100%. They're not going to hold on to him if they're 5 games below at all. Let's see. Fred says, are Yankees for sure nor championship caliber team? Hard to say. There are too many problems. No single trade can fix it, especially being cheap. Now, I'm going to disagree. I think this team is definitely World Series caliber. I think this team could definitely win a championship. You would just need a lot of things to go right. You would need the offense to stay consistent throughout the postseason, which is something that we haven't really seen out of them. You need the pitching to stay consistent, which I don't think would be too hard, especially if you acquire Scherzer. You would have 3 of the most dominant arms at the front of your rotation. And I don't think the bullpen is too much of a concern. So I think as long as the Yankees lineup stays consistent in the playoffs, I think they could easily win a title this year. Easily. Odor gets a clutch hit now and again, but he's another one not even hitting 200. Why is his return high? Now, I'll tell you why everyone loves to see Rougned Odor return. Because you don't have to see Tyler Wade anymore. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Tyler Wade's batting 300 this year. It's in 5 at-bats. Not 5, but it's 10 at-bats. Okay, it's not that big of a sample size. Tyler Wade is not a good hitter. People just don't want to see him anymore. So, yeah, that's why everyone's making such a big deal about Odor returning, because Tyler Wade he's just an atrocity with the bat. PX says, imagine he's available and the White Sox get him, and Cashman said, Sevy is our midseason move. But the sad part is, we know that's going to happen, right? I know I don't think it's that crazy to think about. that the Yankees are going to let Scherzer walk to like an American League rival, 2019 style, when the Astros got cranky. And I could definitely see Scherzer going to like the White Sox or the Astros, for example. And the Yankees are going to sit back, do nothing. They're going to be like, well, we have Luis Severino coming back. Britton just came back a little bit. I don't know. Why can't the Yankees hit soft tossing southpaws? I wish I could tell you, FJ. I wish I could tell you. Rafael Devers is number 1 in RBIs. JD Martinez is number 2. Is that true? I thought I just saw JD was number 1. I mean, unless something has changed, because I'm looking at ESPN, it says JD's at 33 and Devers is at 31. Might have not been updated. I don't know. Johnny is the president of the anti-Gary, Wade, and Hicks fan club. Well, 2 of those guys, you probably don't have to worry about too much more this season. That's Hicks and Wade. Also, I know a lot of people are like preying on Hicks' downfall, but I really hope he doesn't need to get surgery. He most likely will. I'm no doctor. But I really hope that the Yankees can find a way to bring him back this season. Just because he's such an improvement in center field over Gardner or Ryan Lamar. It's not even close. So, especially what we've seen from Hicks before the injury, he was definitely coming around. He was having solid at-bats, getting good hits. So, yeah, I wish the best for the dude. I still think it will be hard for Odor to get playing time. As long as Glaber's out, he'll get a ton of playing time. I think how they'll do it is they'll put Gio at third. No. Gio at short, DJ at third, and Odor at second. And then you have Voit at first. That's probably what they'd be doing. Yeah, so Gio short, DJ third, Odor second. Would you trade Gary Sanchez and Frazier for Rizzo and Wilson Contreras? No. Only because then you really just kill your outfield depth. Who would be your left fielder in that situation? And then who would be your fourth outfielder in that situation? The Yankees don't need Anthony Rizzo. I know he's like a fun-loving guy. He's cool. But they have no need for him, especially that Voigt's back now. And also, Wilson Contreras, they kind of have no need for him either. I know he's another cool guy to have, but you have Gary. I guess you would trade Gary in that deal, but you have Higgy too. I don't think the deal would make too much sense, honestly. If you throw others in the deal on the Cubs side, maybe, but I don't know. The lack of transparency about Hicks' condition makes me think he's out for the season. That's fair. Usually if this was a team other than the Yankees, I'd probably be like, oh, you're crazy, like you're so pessimistic. But as far as the Yankees go, whenever they're very vague and not being transparent about injuries, it's not a good sign. But then again, it could be like a Judge situation. Who remembers when Judge had a sore side earlier on in the season? Everyone's like, oh, it's the oblique, he's done. And then it ended up being nothing. So, we'll see. Johnny says, I'm not rooting for injuries, never would. But he sucks on both sides of the ball, sadly. At least in the past, he would hold his weight defensively, but this year he has regressed on that side as well. I'll agree. He's been really, really bad defensively. There's balls that Hicks jogs towards, that I would expect him to make in previous years easily. But it seems like he's just not giving it his all out there. I don't know if he's on like that preservation plan like Judge is too. Clearly Judge has thrown that away, because I'm pretty sure we've seen him dive for balls like every single game at this point. I mean, shout out to Judge, I guess. But yeah, Hicks he's definitely regressed defensively. Luke says, hey, don't know if this was brought up, but WTF is up with our pen in day games. I think I saw somewhere their ERA is like a run or two higher during the day. You know, it's something I never really looked into, but I guess it's a thing. I don't know. The Yankees in 2019 could have gone Bauer. They didn't pull the trigger. The Yankees could have gotten a few different arms in 2019, especially adding to the bullpen, a bullpen that was kind of weak. 2020, they could have added to the bullpen too. They didn't do anything. So, yeah, I really hope the Yankees don't sit back and do nothing this year. It would suck so bad, especially if you watch, like I said, Scherzer go to the White Sox or the Astros. It would be brutal. PX says the Yankees have so many question marks. They do, but I don't think they have as many question marks as they did last season, right? I think last season, and probably even the year prior to that, I think they had a lot more question marks than they do now. Granted, it's only the middle of May, so they might have more question marks as we get closer to the trade deadline. But I would say as of right now, their question marks are kind of in a pretty good place. I think the roster construction is pretty solid. They could maybe use another bat, especially an outfield bat. Mike Talkman, but maybe another arm too. I guess we'll see. Bauer wasn't good in 2019. He wasn't. But he would have been better than what the Yankees had. Let's not forget the Yankees had, what, 3 reliable pitchers in 2019? Once Sevy came back, they had Paxton, Tanaka, Sevy. They definitely could have used another starter. I'm just saying. But listen, chat, I think that is going to wrap things up for today's postgame. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. I know it was a brutal loss. However, we will be back tomorrow. I believe the game starts at 8, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, tomorrow's game starts at 8. So tomorrow's pregame will start at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more. Going live before and after every single Yankees game this season. So stay tuned for that content. You guys know the deal. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Peace. Have a good day, everybody.